What is going on? How's everyone doing? Jason Sukamel and I back. It is Tuesday. We're getting back into the thick of things. Obviously, we had some summer stuff that's going on, but we are doing good. And Jason, it's Tuesday. It's time to talk a little recruiting, but I kind of want to take a different angle and a different approach on this one, Jason, because first of all, I feel bad for guys like John Turntine who committed last week because it seems like it's gotten overshadowed by 18 shows about the one kid who didn't commit to Texas. But the one thing that I've noticed, Jason, is that this staff has had first of all, we annually freak out, and I say not we. June, July are the freak out months because guys commit elsewhere. And then things kind of go back. And so I just want to get, first of all, where are you at as far as July is concerned? Because I still feel like we're a long way between the signing day, Jason. I'm just not really ready to do a freak out episode.
Yeah, so much to unpack. First off, it was funny last week where I started a thread on Wednesday, and I said, hey, here's what I'm hearing on Felix Ojo and John Turntine. And It was 8 pages all talking about Felix Ojo. Nobody wanted to talk about the good news that John Turntine committed to Texas. It was all about the Felix Ojo part going to Texas Tech. But where am I at on the freak out meter? That's a good question. I'm certainly not advising people to freak out or hit the panic button, do all that stuff. But things could definitely be better. Let's be honest. I mean, this is a Texas recruiting class that is inside the top 20 in the country, but still has a ways to go to get to where people expect Texas to finish. Meanwhile, you've got Southern Cal, you've got Texas A&M, you've got Georgia doing Notre Dame doing these things that we thought maybe Texas would be doing this early in the process, coming off back-to-back national semifinal appearances. We thought Texas would be racking up these early commitments. Well, they've done okay, but they're not quite to the level of some of these other programs. Now, here's where it gets interesting, Omar. As with everything the last several years in college football, we're kind of in uncharted territory, right? I mean, this new quote-unquote salary cap, and teams are now, players, and they won't admit it, but guys are taking NIL deals, or were taking NIL deals early and taking upfront payments to shut down their recruitment and not go visit other schools. So let's say player A committed to whatever, USC or Texas A&M or someone, and they said, hey, we're going to give you, I'm just going to make up a number, $800,000, but we're going to give you, X amount of dollars per month leading up until you sign, and then you get the rest when you sign. Well, is that player going to be less likely to flip now? Probably. So I get it. All these Texas fans are like, oh, we'll be fine in December. We'll flip all these guys in December. Well, maybe. I mean, that's been the case in the past, but this year is not like last year. Am I saying Texas won't be able to flip guys late? No, I'm not saying that, but I just don't know. I don't know if people at Texas know. There was one case, rumor has it, Omar, a player who was committed to another school, decommitted, and he just committed to another school. The rumor was, well, whoever he commits to that second school is going to have to give him a sweet NIL deal because he has to pay back that first school for the NIL money he's already taken from them. So it's weird. It's a weird time we're in. I'm not panicking. I mean, Texas is Texas. Sark and his guys know what they're doing. They've got a plan, but it's a plan that's never been executed before because this year is a little bit different than other years. So I think Texas will be fine, but, I think there's a little bit of reason for concern, if I'm being honest.
Okay, that's fair. Well, Jason, let's do this. Let's talk about the guys that have flipped previously, because let's give us hope, because if not, then the show ends in 5 minutes, and there's not much for us to talk about, Jason. But because I had Tyler put together a graphic for me, and I'm going to put this on the screen, Jason. And I would like for you to go back and maybe just back in the time machine for me, okay? And talk about some of these guys who Texas was able to flip previously, especially some of these guys down the stretch. Because over the last few years, Jason, Texas has shown the ability, even though guys have been committed, Texas has shown the ability to flip those guys. Can you just kind of go through them one by one from what you remember?
Yeah. I mean, you look. We'll start with the most recent ones, the 2025 guys. The Florida State guys. I mean, the wheels fell off at Florida State, right? So everybody bailed on that program. Cade Phillips was an interesting one. He's kind of more in line with some of these guys we're talking about this year because he actually was committed to Texas. He flipped to LSU, and then he flipped back to Texas really late because Texas came in aggressively really late. So if you're saying, hey, can Texas come in late and flip guys? Yeah, I mean, Cade Phillips is a perfect example. I mean, Dalen McCutcheon, yeah, I mean, I don't really count him as much because, like I said, the wheels fell off at Florida State. Now, could that happen at some program this year where a coach gets fired and half their class ends up leaving in December? Absolutely. That could, we'll see. Justice Terry, he committed late, but he was actually technically uncommitted when he committed to Texas. You go to 2024.
Now, what's interesting though, it's that's the one thing I want to ask you about because I saw different stories that said he was committed. Like there was a story
he had committed to USC, I think, super early on, but he opened up his recruitment.
Yeah. But then there was a story by I think Hayes Fawcett on 3 in February of Justice Terry explaining why he flipped his commitment from Georgia. So that's why it's like an asterisk with that one because I don't know if, as I like you, I didn't think he was committed.
He wasn't committed when he committed to Texas. He had previously committed. My wires are getting crossed a little bit, but I'm almost positive it was USC super early in the process. But he was one of those deals like he committed really early, and then he opened up his recruitment. So he was uncommitted when he committed to Texas. It wasn't like Cade Phillips where he flipped literally from LSU to Texas. So
and that was on signing day for Cade Phillips, wasn't it, when he flipped?
He made up his mind before signing day. I don't remember exactly when he announced, but it was really late in the process. But it was, a couple weeks in the making before he actually announced. It was a done deal before that. Xavier Filsaime was an interesting one. That was in December, and Ty Anthony Smith from Texas A&M. Ty Anthony kind of went back and forth between A&M and Texas. Filsaime was a guy, Texas, he committed really early to Florida. Texas just kept kind of somewhat quietly kind of chipping away there. We're able to get him flipped. Anthony Hill, boy, that seems a lot longer than 2023.
Right?
Yeah. So, we all know the story there. He committed to A&M over Texas pretty early and then ended up flipping. DeAndre Moore, the Louisville commitment, I forgot about that. I mean, DeAndre Moore was kind of all over the map, but always really liked Texas. But again, you don't want to say it with all of these, but I mean, NIL played a factor in just about every one of these that we're talking about, Anwar. NIL played a big factor. Maybe not the Florida State guys as much, just because they wanted to get off what they thought was a sinking ship at the time. So, but again, these are all different than the guys we're talking about potentially flipping for this year, because a lot of these guys, and again, they probably deny it if I name names, but a lot of these guys already have taken NIL payments. So, excuse me. I mean, how does that work? If you want to flip a guy in December, we're seeing a lot of these December flips here. They've already taken significant NIL payments from certain colleges. So, it's a little more difficult. It's just a little trickier now than it was, those guys on that graphic there. So, again, I think Texas will be fine. I mean, I looked this morning. I think they're number 16 in the I'm using the new rivals rankings. They're number 16 in the team rankings. But number 16 is a long way away from where USC and Georgia and A&M and Notre Dame, Alabama with 5 5-star commitments already. I mean, it's a big gap from that top 5 or 6 to where Texas is sitting. We'll see what Texas can do to close.
Do you think, Jason, is there? I mean, is Texas being too conservative with its spending?
No, it's easy for me to say, but yeah.
I mean, it's not our money,
right?
It's not our money, so we can say whatever the hell we want to.
I mean,
but I'm just because here's the deal. Because I get what's being said, but because I'm 100. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But what it's interesting is, well, it seems like other programs, Georgia's got commits, USC has got commits, right? So obviously those things they're clearly have put an NIL deal in front of these kids where they're like, all right, I'm good enough. Is Texas being a little bit too conservative?
Well, Georgia and Alabama are doing really well. Okay, USC and A&M are doing really, really well. Mm-hmm. They're kind of the outliers. I mean, it's almost desperation time for them, right? They're trying to get these deals done so they can get on a level playing field with the Georgias and Texases and Ohio States of the world, Alabama. So is Texas being a little too conservative in my mind right now? I would say yes. Now, am I going to look like a fool in December when someone pulls this video up and says, hey, look, Texas finished the number 2 recruiting class in the country? That's entirely possible. But I mean, the bottom line is Texas is number 16 right now. I mean, you got schools like, Florida State, Clemson, Penn State, Tennessee are all above Texas in the recruiting rankings. That shouldn't be happening with Texas. All the resources at Texas, and especially Texas coming off back-to-back college football semifinal appearances. I mean, we all thought Texas would be at the top of this list, team recruiting rankings list right now.
Yeah.
Right now, they're closer to 20 than they are to top 10. So, again, man, I'm not sitting here and saying, hey, panic. Oh, the wheels are going to fall off. I mean, that's ridiculous. Steve Sarkisian has built a tremendous program. There's stability. There's talent on the roster. But this is not the start to the recruiting cycle we projected. But we were also saying the same thing in July of last year, onward, and they finished the number 1 class in the country last year. So
yeah, and I mean, the question really becomes too, Jason. We'll get into maybe some potential, possibilities or down the line, but is there something to be said for watching what other people do, watching what the market is, and then reacting afterwards, as opposed, like, for instance, like, and again, I'm not really mad at it, but Tech seems to be bidding against themselves, right? I mean, it's literally, Tech is like, we're just going to pay you that. And not only these guys in the recruiting class, but we saw that in NIL, right? Not NIL, transfer portal. I apologize. Transfer portal. They were just saying, we don't care what your offer is. We'll offer you, $500,000 more, $1 million more, whatever the case is. Is there something to be said to saying, okay, this is what the going rate is, and then we'll decide later on if we want to match or exceed that?
Nobody's going to match or exceed what Felix Ojo got from Texas Tech. I mean, their offers, some of these offers are so outlandish that, I mean, and people act like that just happened last week. It didn't just happen last week. I heard about that offer back in April.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I talked to someone's like, no, I saw what he was offered. Like, it was $5 million for 3 years. So, uncharted territory. I see Cody Carpentier in the chat. It says it's the exact same cycle we have been the last 2 years. But Cody, it's not. It's not, because these teams, you're telling me Texas is going to flip Mark Bowman when USC is giving him upfront money of however many millions of dollars, or Felix Ojo, who's get fully guaranteed $5 million? No, it's not the same as it was last year. The last 2 years, these schools are paying these guys upfront money, so it's going to be harder to flip them unless Felix Ojo is going to, or Mark Bowman's going to write a check back to USC and say, okay, here's that $2 million you gave me when I committed. I'm going to give it back to you and flip to Texas. Which means Texas has to give him the $2 million to pay him back. No, it's a different time, man. I'm not saying it won't work out for Texas the way it did the last 2 years, but there are differences this year. To your question, Omar, like, there's so many, like, seriously, dude, I talked to a Texas source last week about the Felix Ojo stuff. This is before he committed to Tech. And even this person was kind of like, dude, I don't know how this is going to work out. Like, if they're offering him this amount of money, this person was like, what are we going to do? We're not going to match that. But this person also said, but what happens if they can't pay him that money when it comes to crunch time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe some of these schools, not necessarily Texas Tech, maybe Tech, but some of these schools who are offering these huge deals are counting on this $20.5 million, whatever, salary cap. I keep terming it salary cap, to get challenged and be kicked to the curb. Well, what happens if it's not, and that salary cap is withheld, and then they can't afford to pay all these guys? Then Texas can come swoop in and cherry pick some of these guys whose deals fall through. So,
well, that sounds like a hell of a Hail Mary strategy, though.
It
Jason.
is.
I mean, that's not
Yeah.
proactive. That's hoping for, that's hoping for the worst case scenario for other programs. I'm not saying coming at you, but that's what.
No, I understand. It absolutely is. But is it that, or do you pay out $20+ million to high school athletes, and then you got to worry about taking care of the talent that's already on your roster? It's a weird juggling act right now. And I don't know how it's all going to unfold, but I'm fascinated to see.
Yeah.
I mean, how are they going to manage, a school like Texas or Georgia, who's got a tremendous recruiting class? But listen, you also got to take care of the talent that's on your roster, right? Which is probably more important even than the recruits coming in. You got to take care of the Anthony Hills, you got to take care of those dudes and the Trevor Goosebys, So again, I mean, this new salary cap number is still new. We're trying to figure it out. And somebody asked me in my 3-2-1 column, I did a Q&A, and they said, hey, is that money that Texas Tech is paying Ojo and all these other players, is it coming out of their the allotment from the school? Are they, does that come off their 20.5? I'm like, I don't know, but I got to assume that Texas Tech has either found a loophole or they're assuming that they can get around that kind of salary cap figure. Otherwise, they're going to run out of money really quickly. But
you can still get outside.
You can,
sources,
but it has
right?
to be approved, and it has to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. But if I show up at the whatever Ford dealership, once a week for an hour to sign autographs, I mean, hell, I'd do that.
Yeah, but would that be approved? I mean, who the hell knows? I don't know. They may kick that one out. Say, no, that's not.
Do you want to get sued by not allowing me to get paid NCAA? Like, I don't know if you want.
There's gonna be a lot of that out there too. So, I don't know. I don't know the answers. People I've talked to in Austin, they don't know the answers. So I sure as hell don't know the answers. But bottom line is, I mean, Texas is recruiting pretty well. I mean, they've got 2 5-star commitments. They've got 9 4-star commitments. So it's not like Texas is not recruiting well. I mean, they're on pace to end up with 3, maybe 4 5-star guys potentially. But right now, they are kind of behind the curve. Will they be able to catch up? We'll see.
So, Jason, someone asked me a question yesterday, and it was one of these things that I think sometimes when you work in in any profession, you kind of take for granted that everybody knows what you know. Can you basically just make it easy for folks to understand how high school kids in the state of Texas are being able to sign NIL deals? Obviously, Greg Abbott signed something that allowed NIL deals, but someone's was asking me, and I was like, well, I hadn't really thought about it. But then I realized, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe that's a conversation we should have so people just understand why guys are able to sign NIL deals going into their senior year of high school.
Dude, this stuff, makes my head hurt. What I was told last week is they can't. I mean, I don't think that measure has been fully passed yet. Like in California, you can. Mark Bowman can sign whatever NIL deal he wants with USC or anybody else out there, car dealership, whatever. So like the Felix Ojo thing, reported per his agent, $5.1 million guaranteed over 3 years. I don't think technically, and dude, maybe I'm wrong and I'm in the wrong person to ask you.
But Abbott signed an NIL bill in June.
I don't think it, again, I need to read up on it, I guess. I don't think it's in effect.
When I was trying to read up on it, Jason, the other day, and he signed a bill in June that basically allowed them to sign NIL, not necessarily as a high school athlete, but you can sign it. I think it said something like when you were like over 17
Which
years
Felix
old,
just
going into the
we're
senior
talking Felix
year.
Ojo. He is just turned 17. Like, I don't know that you can collect those payments though. Like,
You can't collect it until you
right.
get to the
So,
school,
because I mean,
right?
Felix was
So,
presented,
but
and again, we're just talking about Felix Ojo because he's the most recent one. But I mean, it was a contract he was presented. So, is that like a
yes,
gentleman's handshake agreement? Is it truly binding? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I can't imagine the agent is doesn't know what the
Exactly.
hell he's doing in order to
And
put that
also,
out, right? So
Anwar,
there
does
had
it
to
really
be
matter? I mean, honestly, like, nobody's going to play by the rules. I mean, listen, if you can't do NIL deals, oh bullshit, man. People are going to do NIL deals under the table, and they're going to probably drop
of
bags of
course.
cash if they have to. It's we talk about back in the we make jokes that back in the 80s when SMU and Texas A&M were giving Trans Ams and bags of cash. Well, dude, this is as much of the wild, wild west as it was back in the 80s. It's just different ways of going about it right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, cash still rules.
And listen, hey man, like
there's other
everybody
ways.
got mad at Felix Ojo. I'm like, dude, I'm not begrudging Felix Ojo. If you got 5.1 over 3 years, I said, somebody offers my kid that money, I'm packing my kid's bags tomorrow and I'm driving their ass to campus and saying, see you later.
Hey, Jason, if whatever.com in Lubbock offered to double your salary for you to cover Texas Tech, is this our last show?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm Marcy. Sorry, honey, we're raising our
Right?
kids in Lubbock for a few years, but
If anybody's like, I'll double your salary and then you can move to Lubbock. Like we move to most places outside of like California because we still would be breaking
right.
even, but we move to most places. All right, so Jason's real quick, and that, it doesn't have to be real quick, but let's just go about one of these things that maybe some flip possibilities for Texas. Okay, but we'll end it on this thing. Let's go position by position. This is something that you had in your 3-2-1. That have you posted that yet, Jason?
I did. I posted last night actually.
Okay, posted it last night. I read it, so I didn't read on it. Let's go position by position, Jason. Who are some guys that Texas could flip? Now again, you added, I think the secret sauce is flip and also pay money, because you also said something about paying money back, right? So what part is that of the equation too when you talked about paying money back?
Yeah, like we'll go through. I said, who are some realistic flip possibilities? This is directly from my 3-2-1 column. I said quarterback, none. I mean, you got Diabell, that's all you need. Running back, I put KJ Edwards in there, who committed to Texas A&M out of Carthage. We've talked about KJ on your show a bunch.
Yeah.
But again, here's the deal. I'm not saying KJ. I mean, I know KJ got an NIL deal. I know that. I feel comfortable saying that. But like, there's a reason KJ Edwards committed when he did and canceled his Texas visit. Okay, because he was supposed to visit Texas. He committed. Let me look at this. He committed on June 17th. He was supposed to visit Texas, take his official visit to Texas June 20th. So 3 days prior to that, he committed to A&M. Well, dude, most times a kid is going to say, I want to take that Texas official visit, and then I'll make my decision.
Yes.
Nope, not KJ. He committed to A&M, shut down, canceled the Texas visit. What does that tell you, Almar? Come on, read between the lines here. So could they get him to flip? Possible. I mean, KJ really likes Texas, but I mean, there's some things that would have to be worked out. But he's kind of the main flip candidate at running back. I mean, Texas is still recruiting Derek Cooper, but if we're talking true flips, I put KJ Edwards on there. Wide receiver, I put Jordan Clay, who is not yet committed, but he's about to be. And I mean, Texas, I could see them flipping him. Aaron Gregory is committed to A&M. He's kind of solidified things. But he does still flirt with Texas or talks to Texas a little bit. So, if Texas stayed in contact and if something went haywire at A&M, he would be a possibility. Jabari Mack committed to LSU, same deal. He's happy with LSU, but the lines of communication are still open if Texas wants to talk to him. So, if something crazy happens at LSU, coaching change or something, that's a possibility. Tight end, in terms of flips, I don't really see any possibilities there. Now, there's a couple tight ends are about to commit this week, so they could potentially enter flip category. But right now, as far as guys who are committed elsewhere, there really aren't. many on the tight end front. Offensive linemen, 2 A&M commits, Sam Rosenborough, Zayden Krempin, 2 guys who are really high on Texas, but they committed to A&M. Maybe because Texas was so hyper-focused on Felix Ojo and John Turntine, well, that didn't work out. So maybe Texas could circle back. Maybe Zayden Krempin would listen. I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to Zayden about it. This is still pretty fresh. But, if Texas came back to him and said, hey, we want you in this class, and we've got an attractive opportunity for you in terms of NIL, playing time, this, that, and the other. Could that happen? Possible. Go to edge defender on the defensive side of the ball. Landon Barnes out of Duncanville, committed to Ole Miss. Texas kind of got in late there. I talked to Landon a few weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, because, Texas was kind of late. But, if Texas continued to recruit him aggressively despite his commitment, I could see him keeping an open mind. Dre Quinn was a really tight battle between Texas and Clemson. He ended up going to Clemson. I think that'd be a tough flip. But I tell you, he really, really liked Texas. So, again, crazy things can happen. Our coaching changes, different things can just throw all this stuff into chaos a little bit. Defensive line, I got Jamie Winfield, who's committed to USC, just because he's a guy that's kept the lines of communication open. Kendall Gerville, a guy who was supposed to commit to Texas, he was telling people, I'm going to Texas. And then Florida came in, the in-state school, with a big late NIL offer, so he went to Florida. Keith Doty's a guy that Texas offered, kind of flirted. He's an in-state guy. They flirted with him a little bit, but if they really pick up the pressure, maybe something there. Linebacker, none. Then I said at DB, there's a few different options at DB if Texas wanted to flip a guy. Cam Hamill, who's committed to A&M. Brock King is a guy who wanted to go to Texas. They kind of pulled back a little bit. He ended up committing to TCU. Isaiah Williams, similar story, wanted to go to Texas. Texas kind of pulled back, started looking at different directions. He committed to Illinois. So there are options there for potential flips, but it's a little early to say that any of those are extremely likely at this point.
We'll talk about the buyout portion of it, Jason. So if these guys, are you saying that these guys who are committed and they've accepted NIL deals, there has to be a buyout associated with that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody would use that word officially, but there is an element of that. Exactly. But there is an element of that. Like, for instance, an in-state guy in Texas. Would it be a buyout? Well, no, because as you and I said, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they can't take money before right now. Okay. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. A guy out in California, a guy like Mark Bowman, California has it in place where he probably has literally signed his NIL deal. So there would be a buyout portion, not that I expect Mark Bowman to be a flip option, but if Texas wanted to go after Mark Bowman and get him to flip, yeah, there would be a buyout that would have to happen. USC's not going to be like, oh yeah, go ahead and keep that couple $1 million we gave you up front, but go ahead and flip to Texas. It's all cool. Just take that money and use it for moving expenses, So there is some of that stuff that would have to be figured out for some of these recruits who are committed to other schools.
Wow. All right, Jason. It'd be interesting to see. But the bottom line, Jason, the bottom line when it's all said and done is it's all going to come down to money. But let's just put it where the cows can eat it, right? It's all going to come down to money when it's all said and done. If Texas wants to flip guys who already basically have NIL deals, they're just going to have to, either hope that something bad happens, which I don't love that scenario, or they're just going to have to say, all right, we'll exceed your current deal, which more than likely is probably not going to happen.
There's some truth there. You got to have relationships. You've got to be able to get the door open. But especially for these super high profile guys, yeah. Money talks, BS walks, right? I keep going back to Felix Ojo because he's, again, the obvious guy. We know they broadcasted what his NIL offer was. Felix Ojo isn't flipping to Texas or Ohio State for $2 million if he's got $5.1 million from Texas Tech. You're going to have to be in that realm for a guy like Ojo or anybody else. You're going to have to be in that realm to even have a chance of flipping somebody. Absolutely.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah, by the way, I had to hit mute.
Dude,
on my
what is
teams
going?
as
Do
well.
they not know? I literally said I'm on Anwar's show, and they just keep pinging me.
They just do. This is why. This is why. Anyone who watches this thing will know the teams thing goes off the chain after 9 o'clock. So I have to always mute it, and then I forget to unmute
yeah.
it. So then I miss something that may or may not be important. And
I mute after we've received 30 messages. I just muted it. But like, dude, y'all know, and like, Jason, do this. Jason, do this. Jason, I'm like, dude, I literally said I'm going on Anwar's show. I can't do this stuff.
No one even reads it. That's why when we talk about teams in our meeting, I always am rolling my eyes. I'm like, this thing, like, why is there so many conversations? Why are there so many channels? Like, why is it all this? Like, stop. I miss Jason. One of the reasons I don't even know how to upload something on our new front page is because there were so many damn Teams messages that I feel like I missed it because it wouldn't stop talking. Now you know my life. Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Well, I just muted it. I'll do the same. It's so funny you said that because I do the same thing, and probably nobody cares about this except for me and you. But I'll mute it because I'm like, oh, you're driving me nuts. And then like 8 hours later, like, oh shit, I forgot to unmute it. I missed like all these really important notes. So yes.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, who was arrested? Like I forgot. Yes. I totally missed it, right? So, all right, Jason, man, I appreciate it. I was trying to end it on the money note, but we'll definitely see how the things closes. Now you go back on teams.
All right, Elmer. We'll see you soon, man.
See you, dude. That is Jason Sukumel of orangebloods.com. Yeah, we got our teams channel. I know y'all, you guys got one of those inner office communication things, whatever you guys use. Like sometimes people just pinging the hell out of you. They do it all the time during my show. Show no respect. But it is what it is. All right, if you miss any portion of it, go back to the beginning. And Jason and I kind of break down some stuff. I think it was really, like I said, it's a good, interesting conversation as we start kind of going into this new NIL era. We start talking about the potential of flips and what Texas may do. Now we got to know there was a time, y'all remember those times where they used to say like, oh, well, they visit the Macomb school and that's what they really, are interested in. Ain't nobody visiting nobody's schools, nobody's campuses. Ain't nobody going past the athletic department. No one's, I don't know if anybody knows where the library is when they do their tours nowadays. It is the Wu-Tang. It is Cream, Casuals, everything around me. All right, y'all, go out and enjoy the rest of your day. Remember to always say live each day like it's your last, because one day it will be. So go out there, do something special for yourself, do something that you enjoy yourself. Also saw something online that I believe that Pete Terry's on Thursday will be donating. I believe it said like 100% of their proceeds that day to the victims of the flood. So, if you guys are looking for things to get involved in, just kind of a free plug for Pete Terry's, if you're into burgers or whatever, that might be a good way to find a way to help out. So y'all go out there, enjoy yourself. I'll be back at noon for the modcast today. So y'all will see me there, and y'all should hopefully see my glistening brown face more often. Y'all take care.